We'll call it the Chewbacca pack. Oh, that's awesome. But you don't typically use those bounty hunters to unlock Chewbacca. Yeah, that's right. And you don't need them at any relic level, let alone relic 5? Also true. And they're also all Galactic Legend requirements. Correct. So what's the pack called again? The Chewbacca pack. Welcome back to the class, everyone. While it's a lot of fun to poke at the name of the Chewbacca pack, there is actually a lot of value behind it, and what I want to do today is take a look at where that value stands and where it stands to the other packs that are available now or here very shortly. Yeah, we all knew we were getting it up here. It's spreadsheets, it's just kind of what we do, and it's just the easiest way to explain all of this. So for a little bit of context, as of right now, we have both the Thrawn and Palpatine Lightspeed bundle as well as the Starkiller bundle active in game. If you have not already purchased them, or if your characters are under those relic levels, you actually have the opportunity to do that now. And for context, tomorrow, or what will probably be today for most of you who are viewing this, we will both have the Night Sister bundle coming back at $15, as well as the Chewbacca pack that we've already talked a little bit about for $25. So with all four of those packs in mind, what we want to do today is give some insight into what their value looks like as standalone, but also comparatively. I realize everyone doesn't have an endless budget for money they want to spend on Galaxy of Heroes if they spend it all, so seeing them comparatively can not only give some insight into them as a pack in general, but maybe tell you which one that you should actually be buying depending on where your roster is at. So explaining the spreadsheet here just a little, what we've done is we're essentially attributing value to the packs based on the amount of Chirotech it would take you to gear all these characters up, assuming you hadn't put any work into them at all, and how much signal data it would cost you to bring these characters up, again, assuming you haven't put anything into them at all yet. So what we do is we take the raw Chirotech number that you will see from the characters. For Starkiller, it's about 1,600 because the 4 characters that are required to get him, they're all newer characters, so they require Chirotech at lower gear levels like Gear 8 and Gear 9. Now, with that being said, we take those 1,600 and we times them by 28 because if you were to buy them in the store for crystals, that's how much they would cost. I realize the vast majority of people don't do that, but if we're trying to attribute a crystal value to them, that's really the only way that we can get there. Now, when we take that and assume you're buying volts to be able to buy those, this is the actual dollar value that we can say the Starkiller pack is giving when it comes to Chirotech. We cannot do the same exact thing with signal data. We take however much signal data is required for those 4 characters, and then we translate it to crystal vaults using kind of the same exact conversion. And then what we do is we have a total assumed value. If you were to just go out and buy a bunch of vaults and try to imitate what the Lightspeed bundle is essentially doing with one pack. And then what we do is we compare it to the actual cost and determine how much better it is than the alternative method, which the Starkiller pack is 7 times better. And I realize that might seem a little bit underwhelming next to the other 3 packs, but at the same time, it's 700% better. And a lot of times when we go and compare other packs or other values, we're like, oh, this one's 50% better, this one's 40% better. This is 700% better. Like, it's a big number. I just want people to kind of understand the overall value of Lightspeed bundles. It's far more than anything else that you would typically get in game. It's on a different level, even for one of the lower value packs like the Starkiller pack. Now, next up, we want to talk a little bit about the Palp and Thrawn pack. We're just going to go kind of systematically here, and we're going to see a few changes. One of the things that we do need to note is that there is a overall lower relic level for the characters. They're no longer relic 5, they're at relic 3, and this actually is a big change, and it's one of the reasons why the overall signal data value for the Starkiller pack was actually higher than this pack, despite the fact that you have over double the characters in here. And the reason why is relics progressively get more expensive the more you add them on. So relic 5 to 3 is a big difference, and we also have a lot of characters in here, not all of which are needed at these current relic levels. Next up, we have the Night Sister pack, which does see a slight price increase from the $10 of the Palp and Thrawn, but starts to give what I would consider to be just a little bit more value in the overall character build, especially considering what Night Sisters are doing right now with their additives such as Marin and Great Mothers, which do not come in the pack. But if you get them, you can form 2 really formidable Night Sister teams. And then last but not least is going to be the Chewbacca pack. Now, with all these, it's not just as clean and cut dry of X pack has this many relic levels and this much signal data, therefore it has this much value. There are some considerations that we need to take into account when trying to factor these in and what it could overall be doing for your roster. We have kind of built that in here. I'll just minimize, actually just scroll over so you guys can see them a little bit better here, hiding these columns. The considerations for each of the pack, the Starkiller, it actually is cut and dry. There really isn't anything else out there. I mean, you're going to get Starkiller. I mean, maybe take into consideration how many Omicrons or Zetas you have lying around, because he will want some of those. Next up for the Palpatine and Thrawn pack, one thing that really does need to be noted with this pack, it is overkill. And I don't just mean like, oh, these are more relic levels than you need for them. That's true. But it's also characters you do not need for them. In fact, they really could have just... They could have just made this a Phoenix pack. Like, Phoenix have absolutely no issue unlocking Emperor Palpatine. With that being said, a lot of the additions are really nice, like Old Ben, Lando, Admiral Akbar, Biggs, Wedge. There's a lot of Galactic Legend requirements here that you might need to put even more relic levels on, but, you know, getting you 3 out of the way is kind of nice. That being said, Farm Boy Luke. Like, need I say more? You don't need him. I mean, you need him at like gear 7 for CLS, but trying to attribute value to this pack based off of the fact that he's in here at Relic 3 is a little bit misleading, and I'm trying to call that out right now. Not to mention, you also don't really need 6 Phoenix members at Relic levels. I mean, it's nice to have, but again, when we're really trying to look at specific value here, you could leave Zeb on the bench or something like that, or maybe an extra one, or maybe you can fit it perfectly into your roster for your Jedi to go somewhere and your Mandalorians to go somewhere, and you can get it to work. But for the most part, there's a little bit of overkill here, at least compared to their teams. The Night Sister pack, it's actually improved quite a bit since the last time we had it around, and that is due to the fact that we have both Morgan and Great Mothers around. Even if you don't have them, even if you're not farming them right now, eventually, when you do, 3 years down the line, you will already have Spirit at Relic 3. So we have, again, quite a bit less lost value here than we did when the first time it came around, because you probably are going to need those extra members to fill out another team eventually. If it's not tomorrow or next year, at some point, it will probably happen. Also, that is worth noting as well that these teams really won't be very functional until you get Marin or Great Mothers. I mean, the old school Night Sisters are okay, but you really do want Marin in there. And she is a newer character that will also require Chirotex that is not included in the pack. And last, and we hinted at this in our skit in the very beginning, is the fact that the Chewbacca pack really should not be viewed as a Chewbacca pack. It really should be viewed as a general Galactic Legend booster pack, because it specifically has insight, or rather requirements into Jedi Master Kenobi, Lord Vader, and Jabba the Hutt, as you can pretty clearly see here from the little spreadsheet we built. And then Dengar is also there for an Executor, which is a Galactic Legend ship, if you will. So, again, the value of the pack is still there. It's still going to cost you this much Chirotech to get those characters up, this much signal data, but I mean, I'm sure you can build a team. I'm sure you can unlock Chewbacca with it. Relic 5 is a pathway to many abilities some Wookiees would consider to be unnatural. That all being said, it's a really weird way to do it, but ultimately, how it should be looked at is if you're working on Jedi Master Kenobi right now, if you're working on Lord Vader right now, if you're working on Jabba right now, and you can just do this $25 to instantly kind of make part of the problem go away, and then a year from now, when you're working on Lord Vader, you're working on Jabba, that, hey, you already have 2 out of the way. So that's really, I think, how this should be viewed. It shouldn't be viewed as a short game, get Chewbacca today. It should be viewed as a long game of, hey, I'm going to kill some small steps for 3 different Galactic Legends or 4 different Galactic Legends along the way. So a little bit of food for thought there, and just kind of some overall recognition. Again, remembering that the value of these is not just based off of what's in them, but how much they cost. It's one of the reasons why, even though the Chewbacca pack has $300 worth of value, it's only 12 times better, whereas the $300 pack for Palp and Thrawn is 30 times better, because the pack is only $10. So that is pretty much going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you found this insightful. Hopefully this has aided you in your decision on what you should be going after and what's best for your roster and how you should view things. But yeah, thanks for watching. And as always, stay awesome.